I tried to pass off another man's baby as his, but he found out and turned my life upside down. Hey Reddit, using a throwaway account as my friends know and follow my main. I'm in a really bad situation now and I don't even know what to do. I know coming to Reddit is not the greatest idea seeing as it's all my fault, but I just don't know what to do. My name is Elena and I am a 37-year-old woman. My husband Tom is 38 and we have been married for about 5 years, but have known each other practically all our lives. We have 2 kids, a boy who's 15 and a girl who's 14. To give a bit of background, Tom and I grew up in the same neighborhood and went to the same schools. Our families were close, so we naturally spent a lot of time together. We started dating in college, but life took us in different directions after graduation. We reconnected several years later, and it felt like fate. Our relationship moved quickly, and before we knew it, we were married with 2 wonderful kids, Ben and Mia. Tom is an incredible husband and father. He's always been supportive, loving, and patient with me, even when I didn't deserve it. Our kids adore him, especially Mia. She's always been a daddy's girl, and they share a special bond that I envied at times. Despite our ups and downs, I thought we were a happy family, but my past mistakes have now caught up with me in the worst possible way. I know you might be wondering what I mean by past mistakes, so let me explain. A few years back, just barely a year after having our son, we were going through a very rough patch. Tom had just lost his dad and had to take over the company as CEO. It was a lot of work, and Tom was incredibly busy as he struggled to adjust to his new role. I felt lonely and unwanted, and that was when Vince and I grew closer. Vince was, and still is, Tom's best friend. Since Tom was so busy, I started hanging out with Vince a lot more. I was going through postpartum depression and just needed someone to confide in. Vince was there for me, but we took it a little too far. One night, we ended up sleeping together, and stupidly, we did it a few more times after that, without protection even. We made a promise not to tell Tom because Vince didn't want to lose his friendship or his job at Tom's company. I also didn't want to lose my husband. But then, a few months later, I found out I was pregnant. I freaked out because I knew there was a possibility that the baby could be Vince's, but I didn't want that to be the case. I pinned it on Tom, and he was happy about the pregnancy. It was a dark period in my life. The guilt ate at me every day, but I convinced myself that as long as Tom never found out, everything would be okay. I pushed those memories to the back of my mind and focused on being a good wife and mother. Tom was thrilled to have a daughter, and Mia brought so much joy to our family. Seeing him with her made me feel even more guilty, but I kept my secret, hoping it would never come to light. I was able to hide it for so long because thankfully, Mia looked like me. She looked nothing like Tom, but because she resembled me so much, nobody ever suspected anything. Friends and family would always laugh about how our son Ben was a carbon copy of his father, while Mia was a carbon copy of me. It became a running joke in our family gatherings, and each time it was brought up, I would force myself to laugh along. When Mia was born, I literally breathed a sigh of relief because her features mirrored mine so closely. It was almost like fate was giving me a chance to keep my secret safe. I was glad initially because as she grew older, her facial features still mirrored mine. Tom never questioned her paternity. He was just overjoyed to have a daughter. He would often comment on how lucky he felt to have such beautiful children, and that each one was a perfect blend of us. Of course, yes, the guilt never went away, but I learned to bury it deep inside. I told myself that the affair was just a mistake, that it was a moment of weakness that didn't define me or my marriage. Vince and I never spoke about it again, and we maintained a careful distance to avoid any suspicion. Life moved on, and I dedicated myself to being the best wife and mother I could be, because I was hoping that my love and devotion would make up for my betrayal. Years passed, and the secret became a part of my daily life. It was like a shadow that followed me but never revealed itself. I would watch Tom playing with Mia, teaching her to ride a bike, helping her with her homework, and my heart would ache. He was an amazing father, and Mia adored him. She would always run to him when she needed comfort, or when she had exciting news to share, so I'm even surprised she ran to me first when she found out. So, how did Mia find out? It all started with a harmless curiosity. Mia wanted to do one of those ancestry DNA tests just to see if we had any other cultural backgrounds apart from being white. She was interested in learning more about our family's history and heritage. At first, I didn't think much of it. It seemed like a fun, educational activity, and I didn't foresee any harm. Looking back, I should have known something could go wrong, but I didn't handle it properly. The whole thing began because Ben did his DNA test first. He was excited about it and shared his results with us, which piqued Mia's interest. She thought it would be cool to see if there were any surprises in her background as well. I should have been more cautious, but I never imagined that those tests could uncover my deepest, darkest secret. When Mia received her results, she came to me, thankfully, and not her father. She was confused because her results were totally different from Ben's. It didn't make any sense to her, as they were supposed to be full siblings. She expected their genetic makeup to be somewhat similar, but the differences were significant enough to raise questions. Mia wanted an explanation. At that moment, I panicked. Maybe I should have come up with a plausible story, but instead, stupidly, I blurted out the truth. I told Mia that Tom wasn't her biological father. Then I briefly explained the affair with Vince and how she was conceived. I was overwhelmed with guilt and fear, and I made her promise not to tell anyone, especially not Tom. I thought I could control the situation if Mia and I kept the secret together. Mia was understandably shocked and confused. She didn't know how to process the information, and I could even see how hurt she was. I tried to console her, to explain that Tom loved her dearly and that nothing needed to change between them. I could see that she was struggling with the revelation, and I hated myself for putting her in this position. I still hate myself for that too. I should have never told her. I thought we could keep the secret between us, but I underestimated the weight of the truth and how it would affect Mia. She started acting out, becoming more withdrawn and distant from Tom. I tried to reassure her, but I could see the strain it was putting on her. The secret was too heavy for her to bear. I put in even more effort to support Mia, and soon she started to come to terms with it. At least, that's what I thought. She even began to secretly mock Tom about it, seeing him as weak. Since he wasn't really her father, she believed he couldn't tell her what to do. It was heartbreaking to see her attitude change towards a man who had loved and raised her as his own. But I clung to the hope that our secret would remain safe. That illusion shattered a week ago when Mia had a sleepover with her friends. One of her friends was struggling to come to terms with the fact that she was going to have a stepdad. In an attempt to reassure her friend and mock Tom, Mia told her not to worry, saying that having a stepdad was like having a dad with all the good stuff, but without the authority since they weren't real parents. She went on to mock Tom, saying she never listened to him anymore, ever since she found out he wasn't her real dad. Unbeknownst to Mia, Tom was in the hallway and overheard everything. His face turned white, and he looked like he had been punched in the gut when he came back to the bedroom. The realization that the daughter he adored and raised wasn't biologically his really hit him hard. Tom stood there for a while and then knocked and told Mia that he had heard everything. Of course she was shocked and tried to laugh it off as a joke, or at least that's what she told me. Tom didn't say a word. He just turned and walked away, leaving Mia and her friends in stunned silence. Mia was distraught. She hadn't meant for Tom to hear her, and she hadn't fully understood the impact her words would have. She came to me in tears, begging for my help, but I was just as lost as she was. I found him later that night sitting in the living room, staring blankly at the wall. The silence between us was suffocating. I could literally feel the pain and betrayal in his eyes, and I guess I knew then that our lives would never be the same. I tried to explain, to apologize, but Tom couldn't even look at me. He felt completely betrayed, not just by me, but by Mia too. The daughter he loved so much had mocked him behind his back, questioned his authority, and even the bond they shared. It was a double blow for him. Now everything is just crazy. I fully expected Tom to kick us out, but he hasn't yet, which is good news. Ben is confused and scared. He doesn't understand what's happening and why his family's falling apart. And Mia, despite her bravado, is heartbroken and guilt-ridden. If anyone has been through a similar situation or has any advice on how to repair the damage, please share. I'm desperate for any guidance on how to navigate this mess and hopefully find a way to rebuild my family. Update. Hey Reddit. Wow, thank you all for nothing. I came on here looking for advice, but I guess I jinxed myself. A lot of you really bashed me in the comment section and told me there was no going back from this. Many of you were also surprised that my husband hadn't kicked us out. Well, thanks because you jinxed that for us. He kicked us out yesterday, and I regret making this post because it feels like it's jinxed us. I thought things were genuinely going to be good. I thought since my husband hadn't kicked us out immediately, he was willing to work on things. But no, he just wanted to confirm that Ben was his. Tom did a DNA test, and once he had the results, he finally called us for a family meeting. He said there was no need to exclude the kids because Mia already knew, and Ben deserved to know the truth as well. Tom then asked me who Mia's father was. At first I was terrified to tell him, but he insisted on knowing, so I finally revealed that it was his best friend Vince. Tom looked like he had just been shot. The betrayal in his eyes was heart-wrenching. He then told me to explain everything to Ben. I then turned to Ben, my voice was shaking, and told him that I had cheated and lied, and that Mia wasn't his full sister. Ben was shocked at first, his eyes wide with disbelief. Then he got very angry at me. He screamed at me, calling me a liar and a betrayer, and then stormed out of the room. I wanted to go after him, but Tom wouldn't let me, saying that Ben needed time to process everything. After that, Tom told me he was kicking Mia and me out of the house. He said we had a few hours to pack our things. He told me that Ben would stay with him because Ben was not a child and deserved stability. I couldn't argue because I knew Ben wouldn't want to come with me, and he was better off staying with his dad. I kept trying to beg Tom to reconsider, but he wouldn't listen. Mia was crying the whole time, blaming herself for everything. She tried to beg Tom too, but he wouldn't even look at her. I had to call my dad to come pick us up. My parents are very shocked at what I've done and totally blame me for everything. I've been at my parents' place for about a day now, and I am distraught. Ben won't pick up the phone, and even Tom won't answer my calls. I feel like my world is crumbling, and I don't know what to do. I know I've made terrible mistakes, and I'm paying the price for them, but seeing my family fall apart is more than I can bear. If anyone has any advice on how to make amends, or at least try to fix some part of this mess, please share. I'm desperate for any help or guidance. Update. Hey Reddit. I know I shouldn't be updating you, but I don't know what to do. I need somewhere to unwind, so I'm just going to continue using Reddit as my soundboard. First, to answer a few questions I've been seeing frequently. Vince doesn't know about this whole situation yet. I don't think Tom has confronted him or told his wife, because Vince would have probably messaged me if he knew. Also, Tom says he wants to divorce me. He doesn't want custody of Mia. He says he's not going to pay child support for her, and that I'm lucky he's not suing me for paternity fraud. He wants his name taken off her birth certificate and is adamant about not having anything to do with her. This part is tearing me apart because despite everything, Tom has been the only father Mia has ever known. As far as I know, Tom hasn't told our friends yet. I would have probably heard something if he had. Right now, it feels like we're living in this strange limbo where everything is falling apart, but the outside world remains oblivious. I'm dreading the moment when this becomes public knowledge and I have to face our friends and community. I also didn't specify in my first post, but I was a stay-at-home mom. I became a stay-at-home mom immediately after Ben was born, and I haven't worked since then. This makes the situation even more complicated because now I have no job, no income, and nowhere to go apart from my parents' house. Mia still blames herself for what happened. She keeps apologizing to me and crying, saying that if she hadn't done the DNA test or if she hadn't told her friends, none of this would have happened. It breaks my heart to see her like this, and I don't even know how to comfort her because, deep down, I know that my actions are the root cause of all this pain. I'm still trying to reach out to Ben, but he won't pick up the phone. He's hurt and angry, and I don't blame him. Tom still won't answer my calls either. I feel completely isolated and depressed by the consequences of my actions. I know I've made terrible mistakes, and I'm paying the price for them. Update. Hey Reddit, using you as a soundboard again because I am depressed and I don't know what to do. I feel like everyone is against me. My parents are against me and think that I am totally at fault. They have also gone behind my back to talk to Mia about this whole thing. I've been trying to keep it on the down low and have been trying to convince her that Tom still wants her. But my parents have now spilled the beans to Mia that Tom doesn't want her and is trying to take his name off her birth certificate. Mia was completely devastated by this news and is now even more angry at herself and also at me. She says if I hadn't cheated, she would still be Tom's daughter and none of this would have happened. Her sadness and anger are tearing me apart because I can see how much pain she's in, and I know it's all because of my mistakes. Please, any advice on how to handle things would be appreciated. And no, don't tell me to go to therapy because I cannot afford it. Tom emptied our joint accounts after he kicked me out of the house. I am completely dependent on my parents right now. They're housing us, but they're not exactly supportive. They keep reminding me of how much I've messed up, and it's making everything worse. And I've tried to explain to Mia that Tom's actions are not her fault, that he's reacting out of anger and hurt, but she's struggling to accept that. Update. Hey Reddit, using you as a soundboard again. I'm sorry, but I guess I should have known that Tom wouldn't keep things hidden for long. He has finally spilled the beans to everyone, and I even had to turn off my phone because I was so tired of getting calls. He told everyone, including Vince's wife. She messaged me and she was furious. She cussed me out, called me a horrible person, shameless, a witch, and used so many other colorful and hurtful words. I can't blame her for being angry. After all, I betrayed her trust too. Vince, however, hasn't reached out to me at all. Then I started getting messages from my friends. They were texting me all sorts of things, wanting to know what was going on and why I cheated. When I wouldn't reply, they started calling me. The questions, the accusations, the shock, it was all too much to handle. I eventually had to turn off my phone because I knew they all supported Tom, and I would probably be bashed if I picked up or even replied to their texts. It's like my entire world is crumbling around me, and I have no one to turn to. Update. Hey Reddit, it's me again. It's been a few weeks and I'm sorry for the radio silence. I've been really busy, but I'm finally back to fill you guys in. First of all, I've been looking for a job because I realize now that there is no coming back. Tom is not going to forgive me. He is not going to forget that I cheated, and he is not going to take Mia and me back. It was hard to come to terms with that, but I have finally accepted it. Job hunting has been incredibly difficult. I don't have much experience, and I haven't worked in almost 15 years. My parents advised me to start with low-paying jobs first, as finding a job after such a long gap is really challenging. They have a point, and at this time, I am desperate for anything, so I will take whatever job I can get. I've applied for several positions, but the responses have been discouraging. Still, I keep pushing forward because I know I need to rebuild my life for Mia and myself. On a brighter note, Ben has finally started talking to me. He picks up my calls now and even came to see me and Mia. Mia was over the moon to see him and clung to him the entire visit. Ben told me that while he hasn't fully forgiven me, he is starting to come to terms with what happened. He said that although he doesn't really see Mia as a sister anymore, he still considers her family because she is the only sister he has known his entire life. I was, of course, disappointed by his words, but I have no choice but to accept them. I'm the one who messed things up in the first place. I've also cut off communication with my friends, or rather, they have cut off communication with me. They chose Tom over me, so I blocked them. It's fine. I know I was wrong and I fucked up, but I don't want people in my life who are going to be mean to me and constantly remind me of my mistakes. So that's pretty much it for now. I've been trying to make it up to Ben slowly. He can't come regularly to see us, but he does try. Tom doesn't want us back, but at least he lets Ben come to see us. The only form of communication Tom has had with me is messaging to tell me that I will be served divorce papers soon. It's been a tough road, and I don't know what the future holds, but I'm taking it one day at a time. If anyone has any advice on finding a job after a long hiatus or how to cope with this new reality, please share. I'm desperate for any help or guidance, and to the people that keep messaging me and spewing hate, please get a life. Update. Hey Reddit, yep, it's me again. I'm back. I finally got served, and it's been tough. The divorce is now in full swing. I signed the papers because I didn't want to give Tom any more trouble. This is all my fault. I am hurt and want to work this out. But it seems like Tom does not want to work things out, so I have to sign the papers. Things have been a bit difficult with Mia. She tried reaching out to Vince and even his wife via Facebook. They didn't respond to her, but they messaged me to let me know that they were going to work things out and that they didn't want any communication or relationship with Mia. I think it's cruel of them to reject her, but on the bright side, I did hear that Tom fired Vince, so now he's jobless. His wife can only pay the bills for so long before she'll get tired and dump him and file for divorce herself. I talked to Mia, and she was very hurt. She told me that she just wanted to know her real dad since Tom no longer wanted her. It breaks my heart to see her go through this pain, and I feel so guilty for being the cause of it all. On another note, I'm still job hunting. I have a few interviews lined up, so hopefully I'll get a job soon. I keep getting hate comments and hateful DMs, which I've tried so hard to ignore. It's exhausting, and I wish people would just get a life instead of constantly reminding me of my mistakes. I won't be updating on here much longer. I owe you guys a final update after the divorce is finalized, and then I'll be done with this account. Thank you to those who offered advice and support. I'll be back to give you a final update, and then I can finally move on from this chapter of my life and delete this account. Thanks for reading. Update. Hey Reddit, I told you guys that I owe you a final update, and that would be it. So here I am to give you that final update before I delete this account because man, it has been exhausting. First of all, some good news. I did find a job. It's low paying, of course, but it's enough. I'm probably going to save for a while, gather some experience, and even try freelancing so I can get a better job with better pay. My ultimate goal is to move out and have a place where my daughter and I can live on our own. The divorce has been finalized, and yeah, it was as brutal as I knew it would be. I didn't even bother paying for a lawyer, not like we could afford it, because I knew it would be a waste of time. In my state, cheating automatically disqualifies you from having custody or any form of alimony. It's a huge deal here, so I didn't get alimony or anything else. The divorce was pretty fast and easygoing, except that technically, under the law, Mia is still considered Tom's daughter. He is in the process of getting his name off her birth certificate, but it's a long process. Tom got custody of both Mia and Ben, but of course he refused to take Mia in. He told me right after we finalized the papers at the courthouse that he wasn't taking Mia with him, that she wasn't his daughter, and he would be getting his name off her birth certificate. So, even though the court granted him custody of both our kids, Mia is with me and Ben lives with him. Ben does come to visit me on weekends, and we have a cool relationship now, though I don't think he's ever going to forget what I did. I was also supposed to pay child support, but since Tom earns way more than I do, and my income is very small, I was allowed to pay very little. Tom told me not to worry about it, as he didn't need the money, so that's that. I'm just relieved the divorce has been finalized. Tom doesn't really talk to me except about Ben. He doesn't talk to Mia either. She has tried to message him, reach out to him, and apologize, but he doesn't want any communication with her. He has told her it's not her fault, and he doesn't blame her, but he doesn't want to maintain any relationship with her. So, that's it. It was really crazy, with all the hate and everything. I think I'm just going to delete this account and take a break from Reddit in general. Once I do have more money, I will be taking Mia and myself to therapy, so that's something to look forward to. Thank you for reading and goodbye.
My so-called husband is planning on ruining my life for a very small mistake I made. I don't know why he thinks it's okay to do what he's planning to do. Yes, I cheated on him, but I guess it was going to happen one way or another. He's a mommy's boy, and this is just me putting it mildly. I just couldn't take it anymore, and I had to give in to the temptation that kept on coming up. He should feel glad that I waited so long to cheat on his sorry self. That man had it coming one day or another, and he shouldn't even try to make it seem like he's surprised. You don't marry a woman, then suddenly try to change her. It's not your place, and it can never be your place to do that. I'm my own person, and he was very well aware of this before we got married. We had no prior conversation that stated I wasn't good enough, or I had to be someone else to please him and his annoying family. So why did everything suddenly get thrown on me? My name is Anastasia, and I'm a 24-year-old dancer. Yes, I'm a dancer, and it's something I love doing. I make money from it, and I'm also a choreographer, so I get gigs to teach people how to dance. But as it seems right now, my husband is using that against me and wants to get me fired. I think it's better to say that he's been using this fact against me for a very long time. According to him, I'm just too exposed to a lot of men. The name of my husband is Collins, and he's a 28-year-old banker. You guys see the difference, right? He's a banker, and I'm a dancer. Of course, we have different professions, and it can be very difficult to be a couple, but somehow we made it work, and we got married. What's making me more upset is the fact that we met while I was working at a party he was invited to. He literally spotted me while I was working, and now he's trying to say my job is bad. We exchanged numbers the first day we met, but none of us contacted each other for almost 5 months after exchanging numbers. I didn't know his age range back then because we hardly said much during the party. I actually thought he was my age mate because he looked like me in some kind of way. Fast forward to the day we finally contacted each other. Well, he contacted me first and asked me out on a date. I was less busy and decided to go. I didn't expect us to connect the way we did, and boom, after 2 years, we got married. I was 23 when we got married, and we've been married for just a year. I was just 23 years old when I got married. Of course, I'm still in my youth and I'm not the most mature person. In fact, I never claimed to be mature. Was I ready for marriage before I got married? Well, I don't really know the answer to that question. I liked Collins a lot, and that's the only word I'm going to use. I don't know if love is the right word to use in this situation. I've never been in love, and I've never fallen for someone in my entire life. It sounds unbelievable, but that's the truth. I've been in relationships, and I've dated a few people. I liked them a lot, and we spent a lot of time together. But it's never been to an extent where I feel like I'm madly in love with this person and cannot wait to spend my entire life with them. Maybe that's because I'm not an overly emotional person, or because I'm always focused on working and earning money. But with Collins, I decided to get married to him because I felt like he was the most stable man if ever dated. Before, I just dated other dancers or artists because those were the kind of people I was mostly around. It was never because I preferred a certain profession. So when I met Collins, I just believed that he was the right man for me because he seemed like the serious type. I also liked the fact that he was a banker. I mean, dating a banker is far better than dating a dancer or an artist. Most artists are not ready to settle down. I felt like I was ready to get married, but I wasn't sure of it. But when I realized Collins was also ready to get married, I felt like it was for the best. So I said yes when he proposed, and then we tied the knot. I've always wanted to be that girl with a stable life. I've never really liked traveling many times as a result of work, but it's what I love doing and I can't stop. Even though I need to keep in shape everything because of my job, I told Collins I was ready to start a family with him 2 years into our marriage. That was the plan, and he didn't have any problem with it. Did I meet his annoying family before we got married? Of course, I met his whole family a total of 4 times before we tied the knot. They were well behaved throughout, and they never gave me any reason to feel like I was marrying into the wrong family. But 2 weeks after the wedding, it was war. Yes, war. And this isn't me exaggerating. I'm not exaggerating at all, and I don't think anyone else can understand my plight. Collins comes from a very big family. When I say big family, I mean that he has several siblings and cousins. His house is almost like an extended family because almost all his relatives, both married and single, live there. If you're wondering why that's the case, it's because his father was once a very rich man and he built a very exaggerated house. The house is actually quite big, and it has other houses in the property. According to what I was told, he got addicted to gambling and lost all the money within 2 years. Well, I don't know how true the story is, but this is what Collins told me. His father is late now. I heard he died in a car accident one night after drunk driving. So after his death, most family members decided it was a good idea to move into the house because they felt it was very big and it could save all of them the cost of rent. Now guys, I know you all are wondering how this has anything to do with the story, but trust me, it does. After the marriage, Collins asked me to follow him to his family house for their annual meeting, and I decided to follow him because, of course, I'm his wife and I should support him in situations like that. But I regretted the decision immediately when I got the family house, because I realized that they were just a big hurdle filled with bullies and people that talked down on other people just to make themselves feel better. I didn't get why everyone felt like it was right to comment on my body and tell me that I had to change. The fact that I was a dancer suddenly became a problem, and his mother made a very big fuss about it when I visited them during the annual meeting with Collins. She kept rubbing it in my face and telling me that dancing was not a real profession, and that I was just wasting my time and ruining my life because it was not a real profession, and it exposed me to a lot of unpalatable things. I had to ask her why my profession was suddenly a problem after the marriage, and why she didn't tell me everything before the marriage. That's when I discovered that Collins did not tell them I was a dancer before the marriage. He actually told them that I was a nurse and that I was a graduate of one big school like that. I was so surprised and angry that I didn't even know what to do with myself. I couldn't believe that Collins would lie about my profession and paint me out to be someone I was not. It was even more ridiculous that he had to hide my true profession from his family before they thought I was fit to be his wife. Another stupid thing is the fact that Collins was ashamed of telling his family that I was a dancer. I pulled him to the side and I asked him why he had to lie to his family and make it seem like I was a nurse when I was just a dancer. I'm a dancer and I'm proud of it. I've never been ashamed of what I do, and I don't think there's a reason for me to be ashamed of something that gives me money. I earned my satisfaction and I didn't beg from anyone or ask anyone to give me money. I would rather be a dancer than be roaming on the streets. The fact that his family thought they were better than me for some reason was just funny. They are the ones squatting with each other and living in a house that they didn't even build. They are basically jobless with nothing serious to do, and they are squatting together to save rent, yet they feel like they could dictate what profession I was into. If I had been getting judged by a multi-career family with several people in different fields that were actually successful in what they did and made a good living out of it, I would have actually felt bad. But I was getting judged by a family that couldn't even afford to stay on their own. What hurt me most was the fact that Collins just sat there and let them speak ill of me. So, when I call him foolish, don't judge me for it. Every decision he makes has to be dictated by his mother. If I knew I was getting married to a mummy's boy, I would have ran as far as my legs could carry me. He was so indecisive and quiet. I mean, how do you sit down in front of your family, then let them say whatever they want about your wife? How do you not say anything to defend her or make her feel better? It was like he made them believe I was a nurse so I wouldn't get quizzed by them and run away. Then, when he finally married me, he brought me to his house so they could charge me and make me get another job. I know some goody two-shoes women would try to tell me I should have just quit my job, but I'll say this ahead of time. I don't want any advice from those kinds of women because it just never makes sense. You met me as a dancer, then your entitled foolish self wants to change me after we tied the knot? If I quit working and stay at home to be your perfect wife just to shut you up, in less than 2 years, you'd still be the same man telling me I was feeding off your money and bringing nothing to the table. How ironic is that, and why would I want to be in that kind of situation? If I'd quit my job, Collins and his family would still try to talk down on me and make me feel like crap. So I made sure I didn't make such mistakes or get myself in such a compromising situation. It was just not something I was willing to do. When we got home that day after the annual family meeting, I was so angry that I didn't try to contain my anger or hide how I felt inside. I had to ask Collins why he thought it was right to sit silently at a gathering where my character was being butchered. No excuse. He had no excuse and couldn't come up with anything but the fact that he saw some truth in what they were saying. Yes, he says that to me. I don't even know why I married a banker. Maybe the artists I used to date were not ready to settle down, but at least they defended me in situations that were insulting. They never stood back and watched me get my character assassinated for something as trivial as being a dancer. That day, we had a very long argument, and I made it clear to Collins that I would not be changing my job or quitting it. I told him that I would remain a dancer, and there was absolutely nothing he could do about it. After that day, it was like I unleashed a beast in Collins. He became his family's puppet, and they tried to frustrate me together. He suddenly got upset with visiting his family and asking me to accompany him because he just wanted to see them talk ill of me and make me feel bad about myself. When I realized what he was trying to do, I decided to quit following him to his family house. I stopped accompanying him and told him he could go alone. He tried to make me feel like I was being unsupportive, but I rubbed it in his face and told him I didn't care. I finally got my peace of mind after I stopped going to his family house. I decided to spend more time at work instead of just sitting back at home and doing nothing in particular. I got a lot of gigs and shows that I had to work on. It was very fulfilling for me because after my wedding, my boss decided to give me fewer jobs because he felt like I would need to spend more time with my husband. But I guess he noticed that I wasn't really feeling the honeymoon bliss anymore, and he decided to get me back to work. More people had joined our dance team, and they were mostly guys. Yes, you read that right. I saw a pit of guys in our dance team, and it was quite surprising. Most of them looked more attractive than they should, and I actually anticipated going to work a lot. Yes, judge me for saying I found a few guys attractive. Well, that's the truth. I'm married and not blind, and so I don't think it's wrong for me to say what I see. They were very nice, and they always tried to come to me to ask me about the team since I worked longer than they did. I preferred speaking to them because I literally had a nagging husband and his jobless family waiting for me after work each day. I actually started regretting the fact that I got married as early as I did. I regretted it, and I still regret it. It's not something I'm scared of admitting because it's the absolute truth. When Collins noticed that I stopped going to see his family with him, he decided to bring his family to the house. I'm even getting angry just by recounting exactly what happened. I came back from work one day only to find that his sister, mother, and 2 of his cousins were at the house. Yes, you read that right, and it's actually true. They were at my house and I was very surprised. I mean, it's not every day that you see something like that. I'd never brought anyone if my family members to the house before, and he's aware of it. There's never been a time when I tried to do that to him. I couldn't believe that he brought 4 people home without speaking to me first. Okay, I get that he's the owner of the house, but it only makes sense that he just tells me ahead of time even though he's not meant to ask for permission. After a stressful day at work, I came home to a very big bag of crap. Those people have to be the perfect definition of shameless people walking the surface of the earth. I couldn't even stay in the living room and watch TV without them bringing up discussions about my own body and how I was too thin. I hate his family. I hate them with an intense amount of passion. I don't care what anyone says because it is what it is. Collins, on the other hand, just sat there like he couldn't see what was going on. How do you expect me not to cheat on that kind of guy? A man that doesn't have a say on his own and only does things that his family asks him to do. That's the kind of man Collins is, and I was just not ready to take in any of their crap. I went to sleep in the room and waited for Collins so we could have a conversation, but he never came to the room. He spent the whole night entertaining his family, and I know this because I couldn't even get a wink of sleep as a result of the unnecessary noise they were all making. I tried to shake them off and get to sleep, but nothing that I tried worked. He preferred to spend the whole night whispering and laughing with his family rather than coming to the room to see his wife. I hadn't even started cheating on him back then, but can you guys see how foolish he was? Who wants to stay married to a mommy's boy? If you have seen the worst part of it, just listen to this. One day, while his mother, sister, and siblings were still at the house, something very annoying happened. I came back home after a stressful day at work only to be met by his annoying cousins, mother and sister. His mother told me she wanted to have a serious conversation with me. Of course, I innocently thought it was okay to sit down with her and talk. Maybe it was as a result of the stress at work, but I completely forgot that they hated me. At the end of the day, she ended up asking me why I was not pregnant yet. A go asks a woman why she isn't pregnant yet. She told me her son was not getting any younger and should already be a father. Well, I had to ask her why her son didn't get married earlier in his life to have a child, and why she wanted to make me the baby-making machine. I mean, I'm literally just 24 years old. I'm not saying I'm too young to have children, but I'm trying to say it doesn't make sense that I have to rush into things just because my husband is 4 years older than me. Besides, Collins and I already agreed ahead of time that we were not going to have children until we completed our 2 years anniversary. I spoke to Collins about what his mother says, and he told me he also wanted children and couldn't wait so long to have children. I told him I didn't want children yet, so there was no way I was going to get pressured into having children. It was a continuous back and forth, and I got tired of the problems in the marriage. But I made no move to fix any of those problems because I just didn't believe that they had anything to do with me. If anything, I'd always tried my best to manage his family, but they are so rude and annoying. Collins is a whole different story, and I just got fed up. So what did I do? I cheated. Why? Because I wanted to, and because I felt like I was married to a baby. I was tired of the marriage, but didn't have the guts to ask for a divorce, because I didn't want to end up homeless yet. I wanted to keep working and earn enough money to get my own apartment. I had a lot saved up before, but after I got married to Collins, I spent recklessly because he's a banker and earned enough money. I wasn't paying rent like I did before, and I wasn't paying the bills, so I bought a lot of expensive things. I only started saving when I realized my marriage to Collins was headed for doom. So one of the guts in the dance team is my affair partner, and we hit things off after months of being friends. We slept together 2 nights after my 1-year wedding anniversary, and we have been together ever since. But I never thought Collins would end up finding out. Apparently, one of his nosy sisters decided to follow me to my dance studio, and she saw me kissing my affair partner outside the dance studio. My boss is aware of the relationship, but it's not his business, so he kept quiet. But Collins's nosy sister took a picture and sent it to Collins. I got home 2 days ago, and Collins decided to give me the scare of my life. The house was scattered and almost everything looked broken. He was so angry that he kept cursing and screaming all sorts of degrading words. I thought that would be all, but he sent me out of the house yesterday and burnt all my sneakers. He threw my things outside and locked me out. I'm staying at my affair partner's place now, but Collins is still after my peace. I heard from someone that he's planning to get me fired and humiliate me. I don't get why he even cares so much. He made the bed and I just slept on it. It's his fault as much as it's mine. But wanting to get me fired? It's just too much. Update. I'm now jobless, and it's all thanks to Collins. He wasn't joking when he promised to ruin my life. It's been 6 months and I've witnessed hell, literally. Even after he sent me divorce papers 2 weeks later and I signed it, he made sure he got me fired. I never thought my boss would fire me, and I was so confident, but I don't know what deal Collins striked with him that made him fire me. I trusted my boss so much because I've worked with him for so long, and I still can't believe he fired me. Collins also hired some thugs to threaten my affair partner and tell him lies about me. He sent me out of the house 2 months after my divorce with Collins was finalized. I was living off the little I'd saved up and put all my hopes in getting spousal support. But I just discovered that I would not be getting any spousal support anytime soon. Apparently, our marriage was just 1 year, and I worked and earned enough to be independent and was not very reliant on him. My lawyer tried his best, but we had to settle for very little. Now, Collins has 6 months before he gets to pay me the little spousal support. I'm broke till then. Collins really did switch things up to ruin my life. The mommy's boy decided to teach me a lesson, and here I am, single and broke with no job. It definitely hurts.